towards now. And then last week, we focused on forgiveness. Did anybody get the opportunity to put forgiveness into practice? And I don't mean did you go try to frustrate your spouse or neighbor so that you could then seek forgiveness, but I can share with you, I had plenty of opportunities, not just to seek forgiveness, but to actually forgive. I bet you guys encountered that along the way, and if you don't even know it, reflect on the last week. Man, we get lots of opportunities to forgive and seek forgiveness, and it's a two-way street. So I'm hoping you guys, I know that sounds weird. I hope you guys got to practice that, because if we didn't have to forgive, we're probably in the presence of Jesus. But he is our perfect example of forgiveness. So you might think about the takeaways from last week, and one of them was stop throwing rocks. I'm a professional rock thrower. At times, I can pick them up. Somebody's throwing rocks at me. What is my default reaction? Well, I'm going to go find a bigger rock. And I've learned over the years, it's not the size of the rock that matters. It's how accurate you are with the small ones that really get real accurate and hit people right in the heart. So stop throwing rocks. That was one of our challenges and our takeaways. To remove planks from our eyes. Again, I practice this. It's like, well, let me tell you what's wrong with you. And the giant 2x4 is just hitting everything in the way when I just need to remove that. When I just need to remove that from my own eye. Forgiven people, forgive people. Pretty straightforward, right? Forgiven people, forgive people. So what's coming this week? Let me ask you a question. What is your definition of success? Probably been hearing about that since you were in your classroom or even learning how to walk. You may not remember that part, but look, they're learning how to walk. Success. It is something that is defined from the beginning of what success looks like in this world. We're trained from a young age to climb ladders and chase recognition. Man, talk about growing up in a child-centered household. It was all about, hey, well, he's great at this. He's great at this. He's great at this. Performance-driven life is how we often define what success looks like. Accolades along the wall. That mean what now? That mean what when you're gone? What does success look like? We're taught to what? Take care of ourselves, because who's number one? I'm a professional at this at times. Who's number one? Oh, I am. And you think of yourself the same way often, because that's what we're taught. Well, take care of yourself, and then all the rest will work out, and do this and do that, and make sure you're accommodating this. Take care of you first. Look out for you and your own success first. Deep down, many of us, I think, actually feel the tension that comes from that. I think we feel the tension that's like we're performance driven, and there's something there that we're hanging on to. We're chasing versions of greatness that leave us empty. Chasing versions of greatness that leave us empty. If I reflect on the last, let's just go 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. What does that look like in my own life? It was never God's version of greatness to begin with. He doesn't want you to be empty. He wants you to be filled. But Jesus is going to flip the script on us, because that's what he did. It's what he does. We look at Jesus. He came not as a celebrity. I know, man, we are focused on that. Not as a pro athlete, not as a CEO, but as a servant. He came to serve, to put others before him. A servant. Today we look at the heart of the servant. So it leads me into point one. Jesus redefined greatness. He truly did. Mark chapter 10, verse 45 says this, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." He came to serve. If we had that heart, I'm here to serve. I'm going to put everybody before me. That's what Christ did. That is exactly what he did. It's not a mission statement from Jesus. It's a direct confrontation of everything the world tells us about power, greatness, and leadership. It's a confrontation of what the world says. Jesus flips it on its head and says, let me show you what it's really about. He flipped the script on status. In Jesus' day, just like ours, greatness was measured by position, prestige, and power. Kings existed, right? Kings had servants. Religious leaders had followers, because you were judged at times. Well, how many people are listening to his teachings and following him? The powerful demanded to be served. They demanded to be served. But then comes Jesus, God in the flesh. God in the flesh. And he says this, I didn't come to be served, but to serve. Flipping that script. Kings didn't say that. When we think of leadership, are they serving or are they looking to be served? Servant leadership. Jesus modeled that for us. Jesus redefines greatness by lowering himself. Lowering himself so much that we're going to see that he washed feet. He grabbed a towel. The one who spoke, listen to this, the one who spoke the universe into existence wrapped a towel around his waist, touched the unclean, welcomed children, and washed feet. The creator of the universe did that in human form. He washed feet. Anybody here wash any feet in a while? No, we'll get our pedicure, won't we? Yeah, that's nice. But still, he washed the feet of the unclean. He touched the unclean. Those that were like, no, the lepers, all those, they're like, don't go near them. And he walked into that. He walked in with passion and said, watch this. Because he had a heart for them, to put them first. And he was all about forgiveness. He didn't claim privilege because he could have. He could have showed up and says, well, by the way, so I created the universe and here's the deal. Y'all are all going to serve me. He gave it up. He gave up his privilege to serve us. And I don't model that very well. I just don't. Every once in a while, I think I get a, yes, that probably looked like you, Jesus moment. But, it's a challenge at times to put others first. And he is the great example of that. He didn't just preach service, he lived it. I feel like that's like writing that is kind of like talking to myself. He didn't just preach service, he lived it. He wasn't giving it, remember TED Talks? I don't know, maybe those are still around, but he just didn't give a TED Talk on how to do it. He actually did it. He embodied it daily. When the disciples argued over who was the greatest, we know this story, he didn't just correct them, he reoriented them. He says, here's the focus, guy. Their whole worldview gets shifted. It's not about a hierarchy. Because I'm thinking, if I was Jesus, and I'm not, I'm thinking in my heart, I'd be like, you realize that I created all this. But he didn't take that point of view. He didn't take that stature. He just reoriented them and said, guys, this is what it's about. This is what it's about. He didn't tell them to serve so that they would become better leaders. That's key. He didn't tell them to go serve because they would become better leaders. Didn't do it. He told them to serve because that is leadership in the kingdom. It is leadership in the kingdom. And he didn't serve to be admired. He just didn't. He didn't serve to be admired. He served to rescue. He served so that we could be saved. So that we could model that back into the world and be the light. That's why he says he came to give his life as a ransom for many. Not just 12, but for many. Gave his life for many. His service wasn't symbolic, it was sacrificial. It is the ultimate sacrifice in all of time that took place. And we gather to talk about it, to worship him and praise him. Point 2 is that Jesus served with humility. In John chapter 13, verses 3 through 9, this is the washing of the feet. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with a towel that was wrapped around him. It continues, and Peter, starts to, whoa, don't wash me. No, I wash you. And he says, until I wash you, you have no part of me. He came to serve. And that example of right there, he's saying, guys, this is how you do it. And this is why I'm here. And it's to serve. It's to serve you. Jesus knew exactly who he was. Listen to that verse. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands and that he had come from God and was going back to God. There was going to be some pain in there, though, along the way towards the end. But he came to serve. All of knowing that, what does he do? Gets up, wraps this towel around his waist, and washes feet. Creator of the universe is washing their feet. Do we glaze over that? Do we glance at it and go, yeah, man, that's powerful. He's setting the example for us. Go serve, and this is how you do it. The one who deserved to be served. Powerful stuff. Lord, forgive me for taking that for granted at times. The king grabs a towel. Number 2, the king grabs a towel, not a throne. We think about kings and they sit on a fancy something or other, a throne, a this or that, in a big building or big castle, whatever it might be. Where was Jesus? Washing feet. He poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the disciples. Washing their feet. And let's not, no pun intended, sanitize this. Feet, maybe it's a thing for you now, I don't know, but feet were not exactly the cleanest part of the body. A lot of people wore sandals and such back then. I know we're like flip-flop nation around here now, but the reality is they were dirty. They were dirty because they were traveling. They didn't have air-conditioned vehicles. They were walking everywhere. To wash somebody's feet was like, no, that's what servants do. Servants wash the king's feet. The king was washing their feet. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. It was kind of disgusting. It's a demeaning task. It is reserved for the lowest of the low in the household, or the household of servants even. So it's like you're not the one that's delivering food to the table. You're washing feet. The lowest of the low. Yet the king of the universe got on his knees and touched what others avoided. Touched what others avoided. He didn't say, let me teach you about humility. You often think, well, let me teach you about this. Let me actually show you how it's done. Let me show you how it is done. And in doing so, he redefined leadership and love. He redefined it. He redefined it by serving them. No position was too low for him. No task beneath his calling. After all, the creator of the universe placed himself upon the cross to take our penalty for us. That's huge. But before he got there, he washed feet. He washed feet. So 3, serving isn't glamorous. It is not glamorous. There's nothing flashy about foot washing. And I'm looking forward to all the stories of you guys washing each other's feet. But we'll see how that goes. There's no stage. There's no stage in serving. There's no accolades. There's no applause. There's no platform. It's a towel. It's a towel when it comes to serving. It's a basin. I think most importantly, it's the humility needed to actually do it. You got to have a humble heart to serve really well. To serve Christ-like, you got to have a humble heart. And guess what gets in my way? Pride. I'm like, well, I just don't know if I should do that. Are you ever the person that says, well, that's below me? Maybe, maybe not. But remember what Jesus did. I'll say it again. He washed feet. He washed feet. Serving like Jesus means embracing the unglamorous. It means loving people in messy places. I know, guys, it's messy at times. It means doing what no one notices and not needing credit for it. I think we're probably all guilty of that. Well, you know what I did? And we kind of build ourselves up at times. And it's like, actually, man, we're just called to go serve and don't tell anybody about it. What happens when we do that? If we just serve out of the humility of our hearts and care for people in messy situations and love them. Going back to being with God and forgiving and now serving. Point 3, serving starts where you are. Oftentimes we think, well, once this, we're parents to young adults that are newly married, and they're like, well, once we have enough money or make this and that, we're going to start having kids. And I'm just like, listen, 1, 2, 12, I don't know. But here's the deal. You are going to work forever because you'll never afford kids. You know, it's like when I have this, I can do this. And that's the example I go back to. It's just like, well, I don't know what you mean by afford kids. But if I'm going to wait until I have or I'm equipped to do something, it may never happen. You may miss your chance to have that conversation. You don't need a title. You don't need to be the guy that talks on Sundays. You don't need to be the person that leads worship. You don't need, you know what? You just got to be available. Just make yourself available. You don't need a stage. You don't have to have it all together because trust me, I don't. I do not have it all together. If you know me, I will tell you I do not have it all together. I know a lot of y'all. I don't think y'all got together either. I hang out with a lot of y'all. But that's okay, because I'm thankful that y'all don't have it all together. You know why? Because I'm like, cool, I can hang out with you. I can be in your presence because you don't have it all together. And you get me because I don't have it all together. So don't wait for that to happen. You just need a willing heart. You just need a heart that says, I don't know, Lord, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to give it a shot. And he's like, cool, let's go. Let's see what happens. Change happens. One of the biggest lies that keeps people from stepping into this life of service is, I'm not ready. By the way, I don't think you're ever ready for kids, to rewind a little bit. But there is a handbook for parenting. It is right here. It is the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth. That's my plug on parenting. So there is a lot of wisdom in there. But again, I'm not ready is almost like an excuse that says I don't want to. If you don't want to, that's one thing, but I'm not ready. I struggle with that, guys, too. Come talk to me. Say, man, so what's it like when you're not ready? Well, I'll tell you, because remember, I'm jacked up too. Just be available. When we think we need more experience, more knowledge, more time, more training, but that's not what God's looking for. If we're going to wait until we've consumed enough knowledge to take a step in faith, oh, well, that didn't make sense, did it? Or we're going to wait until we take a step of faith until we have X, Y, and Z. Will you ever take it? Doesn't sound like I'm making myself available to the Lord if I'm waiting for me to do a few things. He isn't asking for ability. He's looking for availability. Let me say that clear. God isn't asking for ability. He's asking for availability. All throughout Scripture, God uses ordinary people with open hearts. I mean, messed up people like us. I think of David a lot. You know, I think of just Moses, and we did that a while ago through Exodus. He's like, I can't speak publicly. You don't send me. Cool, I'll give you some help. You know, he pleaded to the Lord. He goes, here's some help. Looking for availability. You don't need to be the best. You just need to say yes. And I know that rhymes. You don't need to be the best. You just got to say yes. Say, yes, Lord, I am available. There's a point here. The early church was built on willing servants, not perfect systems. Because the system is jacked up. Because it's made up of jacked up people, and that's us. But that's okay. We're willing. We're going to go serve. We're just going to say, Lord, we might mess it up along the way, but you already know that, so we're just going to go. We're going to make ourselves available. We might not do everything right along the way, but we're going to learn from it. We're going to praise you for grace and mercy and extend forgiveness and ask for forgiveness along the way when we fall short. It was built on willing servants, not perfect systems. In Acts, the early church had no buildings, by the way, no budgets, no strategic planning centers. And what did they have? People. They had open homes, open hands, and open hearts. That's what they had. They were on foot, moving from place to place. I mean, sometimes people are trying to kill them, they're moving. But it was about open homes, open hands, and open hearts. They didn't have programming. They cared for widows and orphans. They sold what they had to meet the needs of others. They shared meals, shared space, and shared the gospel. They shared God's plan for salvation and who Jesus is. They shared that. I like to call it building a bridge to share the bridge. That's what they were doing. Building relationship, talk about the most important relationship anybody can have in their entire life, and that is with our Father through his Son. As the church exploded, it literally did, in a good way. Hold on. Let's make sure that's a good thing. It exploded in a good way, not because of slick programming or worship songs on the TV or anything like that. It exploded because of sacrificial people sacrificing their time, treasure, efforts, everything for the gospel to ensure that kept going. And God knew it was going to keep going. To this day, we're talking about it thousands of years later, today. I pray that you're talking about it during the week as well. As we wrap up, a few more scriptures on serving. Listen to these. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10 says this: each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. God's grace in its various forms. We are faithful stewards of God's grace when we use the gifts we have to serve others. Why wouldn't we want to do that? And I know we do, and you guys are awesome at that. But starting with our own hearts, just to serve others, to be good stewards of his grace. The grace I've received, why wouldn't I want to extend that to others? Forgiven people, forgive people. I mean, man, that sums it up right there. Here's another one that comes out of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. There it is again. Serve others. We're faithful stewards of his grace. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 16. And do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices, God is pleased. Do good to one another. Hope and I, we challenge ourselves. She's a lot better at this than I am. But what comes out of our mouth? Does it build up? Or does it tear down? I'm guilty of both, guys. We all are. But does it build up? Does it serve the kingdom? Are we building each other up? Or are we looking for weakness in armor? We flash back to that, but we won't. Weaknesses in somebody's armor to pick at it. Are we building up? What comes out of our mouths? I'm guilty of it. Lord, forgive me for when I don't build people up. And when I find that weakness in the armor and boom, shoot an arrow into it. It's not the way it works. That's not why Jesus came. God is pleased when we make sacrifices to others. That sounded weird, but you know what I mean. When we are sacrificially serving others out of the humility of our hearts. When we say, I'm going to put you before me. because Jesus washed feet. If you have one takeaway today, the creator of the universe showed up here in the flesh to wash your feet, to wash your heart clean. Don't take that lightly, but celebrate that. There's that word, celebrate, my wife's favorite word. To celebrate that and praise him because he is creator, he is God, and he lives. That's awesome stuff. So how do we apply this? Serving doesn't always look like leading a ministry or going on a mission trip. Often, I love mission trips, by the way. And if you go on a mission trip, and I know I've been on fire to go on a mission trip, man, we're going to go over there and we're going to share the gospel with all these people. And you get there, you know what happens? They serve you. If you have never been on a mission trip to a country, and like on purpose, an organized one, and you're all amped up for it, and you go there, and the next thing you know, you're the one being ministered to, flips the script. Jesus is into that stuff, man. He's like, watch this, watch this. So it doesn't always look like going on a mission trip or leading ministry. Often it looks like this. Praying behind the scenes. Praying behind the scenes. I love praying with you guys, and I love when we come together to pray. There's power in that. That's inviting the creator of the universe into that moment. But praying behind the scenes. Like man, I need it, guys. And I know some of you pray for me specifically, and I know that impacts my heart. Because sometimes I just don't have the words to pray, but I know you're praying for me. And it touches my heart. Because he's like, it's okay. I got this. Taking a meal to someone who's had a hard day. I don't know, everybody's just taking meals to each other, I guess. But really, I mean, we could define hard day, right? On your tractor shredding. I mean, is that a hard day? I don't know. But the reality is we all run through struggles. Now, you guys are fantastic at this. You guys, we have no calorie deficit at any given time. I know this. But you guys take care of each other. You feed one another. That is serving one another. Doing it without any ambition of recognition. How many meals have you taken? Well, how many meals have you taken? It's not it. You're just serving one another. Sending a note of encouragement just because. There's some folks that are amazing at mailing cards and letters. To some of us even. When's the last time you mailed something? On purpose, like with handwritten on the envelope too. Some of y'all are awesome at it. Keep doing it. It does not go unnoticed. Taking an errand off someone's plate who is overwhelmed. I have a list. So let me know. We all do. We all have a list, right, of stuff to get done. And I saw something I have to put in here. I think it was like one of those AI generated things, but this lady's interviewing this older gentleman, and she's like, hey, what's the secret to a healthy marriage? And he says, well, you got to stop asking your husband to fix something every 6 months because he'll get around to it eventually. The thing is, he will get around to it eventually. I thought that was hilarious because, I mean, eventually it'll happen, maybe. But yeah, overwhelmed is a real thing. Taking time for a phone call or a lunch with someone, that's hard. Lunch is hard. Lunch, did it used to be easy when we all kind of had like a job in a city or something? Maybe it was, right? You know, because you could gather for lunch. Now it's like, man, you want to meet for lunch? It's like, well, do you think this? I do. Well, that's 30 minutes one way. What you start thinking about is your time. Is that serving? Or is that me thinking about how much is this going to cost me? Yeah. Take time. Make time to have lunch with somebody. Meeting the new person or engaging the quiet person. Now, this one's fun too. So meeting a new person, fairly simple to do. Engaging the quiet person may not want to be engaged, which is always fun. But how do you engage it? You see them across the room, and if you see somebody and you recognize this or that, you're like, connect with them. Just introduce yourself. That may be all that they really need, and you could change their day. You might change their week just by saying hello or smiling. Who knows? Who knows? But those are practical applications. So a personal challenge, keep doing this, guys. Keep hanging out in the Red Letter Challenge and reading this and applying it. Sharing your stories with us is huge. And I know that there's heart change out there. I hear about it. Share it with each other. You know, we're about halfway through, and powerful, powerful words of Christ that we're reading and we're applying to our